What exactly is dark matter? No one really knows. Has anyone seen it yet? The answer is no. What we have seen instead is the effects of dark matter on visible matter. And in this video, I'll be talking about a new way of looking at dark matter. If we look at our solar system, 99% of the mass in our solar system is concentrated in the very center, that is our sun. The rest of the mass is distributed across the solar system as its planets, asteroids, comets. Planets that are closest to the sun go around it at far greater speeds when compared to the planets that are further away. This is simply because the force of gravitation reduces exponentially as the distance increases. If we apply the same analogy to a spiral galaxy, most of the mass in a spiral galaxy is concentrated at its very center, the central bulge. It has far greater number of stars when compared to the outskirts of the galaxy. So, if the law of gravity holds good even on the scale of galaxies, then the stars that are closest to the central bulge should be going around it at much faster speeds when compared to the stars that are further out. This is something that can be actually put to test, and an astronomer called Fred Zwicky did exactly that. He was looking at rotational velocity of stars in a spiral galaxy starting from the central bulge to the outskirts of the galaxy using something called as Doppler shift. What he was expecting to see was the reduction in the rotational velocity of stars as he moved away from the central bulge. But what he saw instead was, as he moved away from the central bulge of the galaxy, the rotational velocity of stars increased and then it remained almost constant. Here on the left, you can see how the rotation of a spiral galaxy should have looked like if it were driven only by its visible matter, as against the actual observations on the right. This was as if there is some additional invisible matter which was making the stars go around the spiral galaxy at faster than predicted speeds. They called this dark matter. Similar evidence of dark matter was also seen in elliptical galaxies with the help of gravitational lensing. Now, the amount of dark matter that pops up through observations is huge. If you consider the entire mass energy budget of the universe, only 4% of it is visible matter, 22% is dark matter, and 74% is something much more elusive called as dark energy. The effects of dark matter are obvious only on the scales of galaxies and beyond, but at smaller scales, say the scale of our solar system, the motion of planets around the sun can be very precisely predicted by Newton's law of gravity. So then what is dark matter? No one knows yet, but what we have seen instead is that there is some additional force of attraction similar to gravity which makes the stars in a spiral galaxy go around it at faster than predicted speeds than can be explained by Newton's law of gravity, taking into account the four fundamental forces of nature. I would like to look at dark matter in a different way, and here is how it goes. We have four fundamental forces in nature: the strong nuclear force, the weak nuclear force, the electromagnetic force, and the gravitational force. The effects of strong and weak nuclear force are obvious only at atomic scales. At larger scales, say the scale of a human being, they are all but insignificant. Electromagnetic force, on the other hand, is a force that can be felt across a larger spectrum, from the scale of a molecule to the scale of stars and galaxies. The effects of gravity are obvious only at much larger scales. At the scale of an atom, the effects of gravity is negligible. So what if there is a fifth fundamental force which shows up only at the scale of galaxies? One has to accumulate huge amount of matter to see the force in action. Now let us have a thought experiment. Imagine we shrink ourselves down to the size of an atom. The physics that we would have if we were the size of atoms would have only three fundamental forces, because gravity at the scale of atoms is insignificant. Now imagine, from the perspective of an atom, if we looked at the motion of planets around the sun in our solar system and tried to explain it with the three fundamental forces that our physics has, it would not make sense. Then we would say that there is some additional invisible matter between the sun and the planets which is making the planets go around the sun. We might as well would have called it dark matter. So what I think is, dark matter might not be some invisible matter, rather a fundamental force of nature which is an intrinsic property of all visible matter, which manifests itself as a force of attraction similar to gravity but only at much larger scales.